filed a lawsuit against UTMB Galveston for allegedly paying a female worker less than her male counterpart. We'll discuss this and more of today's top headlines. I'm Ernie Manous.
And I'm guest host Katharine Shilcutt. As the United States marks its 250th anniversary, the Houston Chronicle has created Texas 250 Who Shaped Texas, the list ranking the 250 most influential Texans since 1776. And we'll let you know who made the cut.
Plus, Houston Public Media reporters Dominic Walsh and Sarah Grunau return to unpack the latest episode of After the Flood.
And as always, we want to hear from you. Give us a call or text us at 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org.
Hello Houston is made possible in part by founding sponsors John Bradshaw and Kathy Sanders, by Metro, and by gifts from listeners like you.
Live from NPR News, I'm Lakshmi Singh. An oppressive heat wave is triggering heat and extreme heat advisories for more than half of the American population. The alerts stretch from eastern Kansas to New England and point south from Arkansas to Alabama. Steve Kastenbaum reports on the heat's impact on New York City.
The high heat is already causing a strain on the power grid in the Northeast. In New York, the utility company reduced voltage in some neighborhoods. Mayor Zohran Mamdani.
We are talking about a level of heat that this city has not seen in more than a decade.
The heat wave coincides with major events that are expected to draw out millions of people over the next few days, including 2 parades of tall ships and naval vessels.
We will also host the Macy's 4th of July fireworks on the evening of Saturday, July 4th. To cap off the weekend, the Brazil versus Norway FIFA World Cup match will take place on the afternoon of Sunday, July 5th.
Hundreds of cooling centers and drinking water stations have been opened to the public. For NPR News, I'm Steve Kastenbaum in New York.
The extreme heat's taking hold just as the FIFA World Cup enters the crucial knockout rounds. Stadiums are expected to employ more protections, such as increased access to cooling areas and water for spectators and staff. But enduring the brutal heat's a sacrifice many soccer fans are willing to make, especially if their team wins. Fans at a watch party in Washington, D.C. celebrating as they watch the U.S. beat Bosnia-Herzegovina 2-0 in the World Cup last night to advance to the round of 16. NPR's Becky Sullivan was there and joined us from California.
The U.S. had to work and work and work to get that first goal to go up 1-0 just before halftime. And then there's striker Folarin Balogun, who is this the newest big star of this team, made this disastrous mistake in the second half. He got his legs tangled up with a Bosnian defender. He stepped on the defender's ankle. It went to a video review and it was deemed a red card. Bosnia was, of course, only down 1. Anything could have happened, and they pulled it off for the biggest win for the U.S. men's national team in a good long time.
NPR's Becky Sullivan. Turning now to Venezuela. The ongoing search for survivors while the death toll climbs. It's nearing 2,300. Here's John Otis.
Keep scooping, keep scooping.
In the coastal town of Caravalleda, members of the Los Angeles County Fire Department are searching for 3 girls trapped in a collapsed building.
It's all because all the dust and the dirt just keeps going into the hole.
LA firefighter Michael Topher says they've heard signs of life.
What we're hearing are faint knocking, tapping. The last confirmation we had was about an hour ago.
A week after the twin quakes, the odds are against them. However, this week, another team from Jordan rescued a 2-year-old boy who is now recovering in a Venezuelan hospital.
That's John Otis. It's NPR.
Live from News 88.7 in Houston, I'm Matt Harab. The man who says his Tesla was in self-driving mode when it slammed into a home in Katy, killing a 76-year-old woman, is now charged with manslaughter. Michael Butler was booked into the Harris County Jail yesterday. Tesla has disputed the claim that its Model 3 car was in self-driving mode, saying data shows the accelerator was pressed all the way down and the car reached a speed of 73 miles per hour before hitting the home. The 250th anniversary of the United States is coming up, and News 88.7's Keenan Vaughn tells us more about how the Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater Houston are putting together a mural as part of the celebration.
Once that section is finished, we'll pour the next.
Houston mural artist Kimmy Gillespie is pacing around the concrete parking lot outside the Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater Houston with a bucket of blue paint in her hand. She's creating a 300 by 50 feet mural of the American flag. She has around 50 young and eager participants down on the ground using their paintbrushes to give it some color.
America is full of just different types of people, and that's what the Boys and Girls Clubs has too. We all are different kids, but we're all coming together for a greater purpose to make something beautiful.
17-year-old Yancy E. is preparing to get her polo and pants covered in paint to take part in the celebration.
Through the 250 years, anyone can agree that there's been so much change within our country and within our communities. But I think what stays the same is our power, our voices.
And that, she says, is what America's 250th anniversary is all about. I'm Keenan Vaughn, News 88.7.
Galveston officials are ready for the weekend. Chris Stanley with the Galveston Park Board says beachgoers should check the colored flags before getting in the water for the holiday. Stanley also says those who aren't strong swimmers should stay close to lifeguard towers.
That's really, really important for your own safety and to help you to make sure that there's somebody around you that can be there to help if you need that help.
You can learn more about upcoming America 250 celebrations on our website. That's houstonpublicmedia.org. 89 degrees right now here on the UH campus. I'm Matt Harrop, News 88.7.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include Progressive Insurance with Snapshot, a personalized program that bases rates on safe driving habits, at progressive.com. Not available in California or from all agents. This is NPR.
Live from Houston Public Media and News 88.7, it's Hello Houston, an open forum on today's biggest stories affecting Houston and beyond. Call now, 713-440-8870, or let us know your thoughts on today's topics by emailing us at talk@hellohouston.org. And now, Hello Houston.
Hello, Ernie Manous with you on this day before the 4th of July. It's July 2nd, and with me in studio, joining me again in our special guest host chair is the one, the only, Katharine Shilcutt. Hello, Katharine.
Hey, Ernie.
We talked yesterday a little bit. We had the Would You Rather. Mm-hmm. Remember that one going on?
Yes.
Would You Rather was our poll. Every Wednesday we put it out there. And so we had it, and we gave the results, and then we posted it on Instagram. And so I wanted to give you the latest because a lot more people voted on Instagram after the show. The question was, would you rather get paid for a year that you don't have to go to work, or would you rather work for a year and get paid double? I'm not saying it as well as the question was written, but. And yesterday, our winning part fell into my camp, which was get paid double and work the same year. You had said you'd rather get paid for a year and not have to go to work.
Give me that year paid vacation.
Well, guess what? You've pulled ahead.
I've swayed them.
67% of those that responded to our Wednesday Would You Rather fell into the Katharine camp, and only 33% are with me working for just double the pay. So there you go.
Thank you, my beach vacation crew.
Yeah, I had to let you know because it just seemed wrong to report the results when all the votes hadn't been counted yet.
No hanging chads here. Everything is in.
No political comment there. You count all the votes as long as they come in on that day. Well, actually, I don't know if they may have come in after the day.
Probably.
We weren't as strict.
Within a 24-hour period.
Thank you. There we
go. That's
okay.
a day.
We got a busy show for you all today. I've got a FIFA update here in front of me. The U.S. beat Bosnia-Herzegovina. I was going to do it the way they do it at Eurovision. Herzegovina 2-0 last night, and the team's first World Cup knockout round within a win in 24 years. The U.S. will face Belgium in Seattle on Monday.
2-0 is impressive. The men's team going this far is very impressive to me.
It's awesome. So for those of you who are following that, that's exciting news. The U.S. is moving forward. Could you imagine a U.S. win? Wouldn't that be crazy?
I can't. I literally can't. That would be insane.
I know.
And with us as one of the host countries as well.
I think that puts the wind behind our sails, too. It's like, it's us. So there's more.
Yeah.
But anyway you slice it, it's definitely increased interest in soccer or football or football.
The Beautiful
depending on who you
Game.
are. The Beautiful Game. There's Andrew Lloyd Webber wrote a musical called The Beautiful Game.
I did not know
It's
that.
about soccer, football. Anyway, there you go. The more you know. Coming up on today's show, we've been talking a lot about Independence Day coming up on Saturday. It's America's 250th birthday. The Texas Tribune, or the Texas Chronicle, the Houston Chronicle.
A paper here in Texas.
I'm getting ahead of myself. Houston Chronicle has put together Texas 250, a list of the most influential Texans since 1776. And we'll be going through that list. We've got, I don't know if it's the editor or the compiler, how we actually want to say him. He is actually the deputy managing editor for Texas Lifestyle at the Chron. He'll be here to tell you where your favorite Texans fell on the list. So you can call in and ask about that. Also, Thursday, Current Obsessions Day.
Can't wait.
We want you to start sending those in. I've got a whole bunch of them. You said you've got a long list of current obsessions.
I do. I obsess about things, though, to be fair. It's my personality.
Well, we'll find out what yours are. You can start sending them to us at Talk. I can't speak today. Are you noticing that?
It's the 3-day weekend looming.
I think it's all the caffeine I had this morning. Anyway, you can send them to us, talk@hellohouston.org, or you can text them to us at 713-440-8870. That's just part of what we're going to talk about. We also, After the Flood, is an amazing podcast being done right here in-house by two of our reporters. They're going to be here to talk about the second chapter of looking at Texas Hill Country and all that happened, including last year's flood, but what led up to it. Fascinating reporting they're doing. They're going to be here to walk us through this newest episode that is now currently available wherever you get your podcast. It's called After the Flood. All that and so much more on today's show. And I didn't barely give you a chance to talk.
That's okay. I'll talk a lot during Current Obsessions.
Okay, then you know what you're going to do right now? Take us into our headlines.
Let's
What's
get into
going
the
on in
news
the world
here.
around us?
Oh, boy. The U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission has filed a lawsuit against the University of Texas Medical Branch at Galveston for allegedly paying a female worker less than her male counterpart. The federal lawsuit filed Friday accuses UTMB of discriminating against a female worker by allegedly paying her less than a male employee holding the same position. The lawsuit claims UTMB violated the Equal Pay Act of 1963, which prohibits compensation discrimination based on sex. The EEOC remains fully committed to ensuring that sex is not factored into compensation, said Jeremy Crosby, Deputy Director for the EEOC's Houston District. The Equal Pay Act ensures that employees receive equal pay for equal work, and we will enforce the statute. According to the lawsuit, Maria Alza's salary was approximately $12,000 less than her male counterpart, Henry Dominguez, despite both having similar experience and the same job title. The lawsuit also claims that Alza held the preferred degree, actually, for the job position, while Dominguez allegedly did not. In October 2023, Alza was promoted to Solutions Architect, and Dominguez was hired for the same position, according to the lawsuit. What are your thoughts on this? We want to know. Call us or text us at 713-440-8870.
I'm going to be outraged, and I feel dumb being outraged because I also feel very sheltered. But in saying it, I can't believe this is happening in today's day and age.
It's shocking,
It
right?
is shocking. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people would say, come on, Ernie, of course you know this is happening in the world. And I do, but it shocks me that in our area that this would... Now, the caveats I would have put with it without hearing the full story was, well, we don't know. Was the person there, the other person, the male there, longer, and therefore, you know, you have seniority and that adds into salary and increases and all that. But from the bits and pieces in the story, without a hearing having happened, it looks like they came in about the same time.
Yep.
She had a higher degree in this particular field.
Correct.
They did the same job under the same title. This is outrageous.
And the amount, the difference, $12,000. That's
Well,
not nothing.
Yes and no.
It depends on what the salary is
Right.
overall.
We
of
always
course.
have to remember that part.
Of
It depends what the
course.
salary is.
But
It
it's
may
not
be
like
very
a
little
dollar
amount, but
difference.
I'm guessing from where they work and what they did, it probably was a big difference.
Sure. And, you know,
but even it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Pennies. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That should be, regardless of our sex, if we do a job and do it. Now, were there reviews? Were there problems? Did one employee get disciplined on a number of manners and wasn't doing things correct? We don't know all the finite detail. But as a policy, there should be no separation between individuals in that regard. In any regard, actually.
And the fact that the EEOC itself chose to sue is very noteworthy because that's very rare.
Yeah.
That means that they have a lot of evidence to point to the fact that UTMB knew what it was doing.
Right. You know, while I was going through my rant, my British computer guy wrote in the chat right before I said it, unless one had more years of experience. I think that always has to be incorporated in. You can be somewhere a period of time. I say, having been here 30 years, that seniority often leads to higher pay because you've been doing it long. But it doesn't hold necessarily true, even for me. I'm not going to say anymore. But I will say that this is an outrageous story. Very upsetting. What do you think? 713-440-8870. Have you found yourself in a position where a counterpart was making more or considerably less than you were doing the exact same job? What were your feelings? What were your thoughts? What did you do about it? Did you do anything? If you were in the gain column, did you stay quiet? If you were in the loss column, did you speak up? Let us know. I'm very curious when it affects you in your daily life. I'd like to know.
Yeah. I will say two British computer guys comment. I think the fact that the EEOC has already filed this lawsuit, that's the argument in and of itself, that those kinds of explanations don't necessarily apply here, like merit, seniority, tenure, those things. The EEOC has already examined and said, oh, yes, this is a clear-cut case
right, yes. The only reason
gender discrimination.
If there were those things, it probably wouldn't have gotten to this point.
Correct.
And now if there's a pattern of this behavior too, this is a single case, but is there a pattern there of doing this?
That's a great question.
If not, why in this particular case did this happen?
Yeah. And it's shocking to me too that it's an institution of this level. You know, like this is not some mom and pop operation that doesn't know better.
Right. Cindy gets paid less than Bobby over at the corner store that Mrs. X, Y, and Z owns. You know, this is an institution that should know better.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're curious to see what you think. Share your thoughts with us. 713-440-8870 or join us in chat. My British computer guy also says, I feel she deserves at least the same pay, which I would read into that to say he thinks she deserves more, but at least the same, if not more.
At the very
than
least.
All right, here we go. Brace yourself. Sarcasm included in this next story. President Trump says this year's Independence Day celebration in Washington will feature what he calls, of course, the largest firework display in history. Organizers of the White House-backed Freedom 250 celebration plan to launch more than 850,000 fireworks in an attempt, of course, to set a new Guinness World Record. Does anything surprise us anymore? The display will stretch from the National Mall to the Potomac, why can't I say it? Potomac River. There we go. Accompanied by patriotic music, military flyovers, and, of course, a speech by the president. Organizers say their goal is to create the most memorable fireworks show America has ever seen. I expect nothing less from this administration.
I'm worried. I'm worried specifically because of everything that's gone horribly wrong with the reflecting pool. And now we're bringing 850,000 incendiary devices into it.
You know, are you interested in checking out this display? And how are you celebrating the 4th? Let us know at 713-440-8870. My sarcasm in that read is not that I think there's anything wrong with it. You know, it's America's 250th. Make it a big deal. I'm all for it. It's just, it's so funny to me that yet again, it is the Trump administration. It's going to be bigger, better, best, more than, over the top. And I'm sure the fireworks are gold gilded before he sends them up into the space. They said it'll be lots of lights of red, white, and blue, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's a good shot of gold in there too.
They're going to figure out how to make gold fireworks shoot into the sky.
And to be honest with you, remember, we want to know what you think. 713-440-8870. I want to watch it. I want to see the biggest, most extreme, over-the-top fireworks display ever. Now, I find it hard to believe it's going to break the Guinness Book of World Records unless that is for a U.S. Independence Day display, because I tend to think overseas, is it in China or something? They do those massive over-the-top fireworks displays. But this would be awesome to see. Now, I always go out and watch our fireworks display, our Freedom Over Texas. I live right by downtown. I have a group of people over, pull out the hot dog roller. I have an industrial popcorn machine, too. So I'm like a little mini 7-Eleven. We'll have popcorn. We'll have hot dogs. We'll walk the 2 blocks to the ledge of another building that we sit on. It's like a ground level ledge. A convenience store sprung up in front of us 2 years ago, but if we move a little bit down, we can see through their parking lot. And we watch the full display. I will tell you, I'm torn. I mean, I want to go see Houston's, but boy, oh boy, do I want to see an over the top. But I can see it on YouTube.
I had to look it up, by the way. Do you know what the Guinness World Record is for the amount of fireworks shot off?
No.
It was here in America, in North Dakota. They set the record.
How many?
It's 2,800,000 fireworks were set off.
This is child's play then. This is nothing.
So we got to at least double that and more.
Triple it.
What are we doing?
Donald.
What are we doing? This is
There's
250
things
years.
that we really count on you for. Excess is it. But even your excess isn't accurate? Come on.
We can do more excess than this.
When did they shoot off those 2 million?
You know, that's a good question. It was in Mandan, North Dakota in January of this year.
Oh my. Come on,
what are we
Donald.
doing?
Get on the calls. You have friends. Get more
You
fireworks
got to start
to
Googling
Washington.
this stuff.
All right. We're gonna move back to our earlier story that we were talking about, which is the unfair pay that was going on. And we have Beth from first let's go to Joanne from the 3rd Ward. Joanne, what's on your mind?
Hi there. I wanted to let you know that I think I know what causes this disparity.
Please do. What?
My guess is that they have worked there several years together, and when it comes times for reviews and salary increases, the overwhelming prejudice is to reward men more than women. And usually the story is, well, you know, he's supporting a family, etc. And so my guess would be that this has happened over the years. They may have been hired in at comparable salaries, but over the years, the bias tends to creep in.
Interesting point there, and I don't know that we have all the facts in front of us. We do know, though, that they both came into this position level around 2023, so that's only a couple of years, and that seems like a large disparity in level of payment. I will also say, and I appreciate, Joanne, you're bringing this up because it takes me back to that old adage of men got paid more because they had to support the family. Yeah. But I'd be surprised if that still is a thought today. But you know, something happened here. Something
interesting that Sean Radigan brings up in the YouTube chat is doctors have unequal pay because a female doctor is much more likely to be married to another high earner than a male doctor is. So kind of an interesting inverse of that situation.
But, you know, that takes me to the bigger issue. It should be independent of circumstance, of course, and any qualifying other things.
Of course.
Or unqualifying, as the case may be. It should be simply on you do the job, you get paid to do the job. It doesn't matter if you have 700 children or you have no children. It doesn't matter if you're married or not married. Yeah. It's just interesting to me.
It kind of needs to be a decision that takes place in the vacuum of where you are working without external considerations. Except for, of course, the Equal Pay Act, which was created specifically for situations like this.
713-440-8870. We have Beth on the line from Sugar Land. Beth, what's on your mind?
Hello. I agree that, and obviously, happy birthday, America. I agree that it shouldn't depend on your gender. It shouldn't depend on the circumstances of your birth. And one of the things that really shouldn't depend on is whether you're here by virtue of having been born here or whether you're here as an immigrant or on a visa. Because if paying people less on a visa is a thing that is going to be done, then that's just an excuse to depress wages. I saw this in action a few years ago at the bank where I was working, managing a couple of software developers. One of them was from New York City, and one of them was Mexico City. And the Mexican girl had 4 years of experience. The one out of New York was fresh out of college. The 4 years experience girl was making 10% less.
Wow.
Why? Because she's on visa.
Mm-hmm.
There was no other reason. And if company can afford to spend $10,000 extra on a fresh, complete greenhorn, why can they not afford to spend that on the person with the experience?
Mm-hmm. Beth, thank you for that. Good points to bring up. I would love to hear if there is a HR person out there listening who can talk about when you set salaries for employees, what do you look at? How do you gauge? If you've got two people in a similar position, what changes where you pay? If they're both new to your company, hired to do the same job, what else do you look at? You know, because as Beth was just saying, they may have had a college degree or have just come out of college, and the other person may not have had the same degrees. Would that make a difference? It's always interesting.
I will say, as someone who worked in HR, the person who most aggressively negotiates that initial salary, that's your chance right there, you know, to get it set where you need it to be. Because some people will come in and they won't negotiate at all. They'll just accept whatever you offer them.
I didn't even need a caller. I didn't know you're sitting right next to me. You've got everything. You've got the information on fireworks and you got the HR. Let's go back to the phone, 713-440-8870. Dwight from Northwest Houston. Dwight, which story do you want to talk about?
Yes, hello. Thank you for taking my call. According to the pay situation, even though one may have a higher degree, sometimes once you get hired into a company, they look at performance level. And if they have a way of measuring your performance level, I think the person that's warranted better performance should get a little bit more reward on their productivity level. And so, you know, that's my comment on that without knowing the full details of the situation. And another comment that I want to just make about the fireworks, I'll be concerned about the animals and the environment. And most importantly, we have a lot of military personnel that have served in wars, and with all the fireworks and stuff going on and during that time, I just hope that they be okay and don't let something like this remind them of the battlefield or some of the post-traumatic stress and some of the issues that they deal with during the time that they was across seas serving our country.
That's a good point.
Dwight, thank you very much for calling in and sharing. And as we wrap this up, Sean Radigan says in our YouTube chat, he went and he looked for YouTube on that big fireworks display you were talking about, Katharine. He said they almost blew up a mountain.
I want to see that too.
That's a lot of fireworks.
Sickeningly,
Anyway,
I want to see that.
Thank you all for joining in that conversation. Continue to share your thoughts with us on these topics, and we will get back to them a little later in the show. I'm still fascinated. Now I think my new current obsession is fireworks displays. That's coming up, current obsessions, later in the show. But right now, when we come back, we're going to talk about the new list of Texas 250, the list of the most influential Texans since 1776. This is Hello Houston on News 88.7.
Meet Tio Choco. We just took his keys for the day and gave him a Ride Metro fare card. This is his story. Visit ridemetro.org/Choco to find out where is Choco.
1955, with Rosa Parks' dissent, it triggered the civil rights movement in earnest.
Next time, here and now.
You can hear that today at 1 o'clock.
Some people think of the labor economy as kind of a game of musical chairs.
So if one more worker is going to enter the labor market, someone else must lose a seat.
I'm Kai Rizdal. The lump of labor fallacy. We'll explain, don't worry. That's next time on Marketplace.
You can hear Marketplace coming up later today. That's on at 6:30 on News 88.7.
What we say can act like a passport into another culture.
I grew up with grandmothers who spoke through idioms constantly.
Tap into the power of music to bring the world together.
Globally, we're connected through rock and roll.
And celebrate how the Wright brothers reached for the sky.
That's when the world suddenly realized man can fly.
It's on the next Travel with Rick Steves.
Rick Steves on this Saturday at 6 a.m.
HPM Plus brings you the latest news and information from around the world and across the street. Trusted journalists keeping you connected by keeping you informed. Search HPM Plus on your smart and connected TVs and stay informed.
Support comes from Miller Outdoor Theater presenting Summer Symphony Nights produced by the Houston Symphony. Weekends July 10th through the 18th at 8:30 p.m. Performances include works by classical and contemporary composers. Details at milleroutdoortheater.com.
And now back to Hello Houston. To comment on today's topics, call or text 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. And now Ernie Manous and guest host Katharine Shilcutt.
As America celebrates its 250th birthday and with the 4th of July just around the corner, we are putting a Texas twist on the occasion. Chron has taken on the challenge of ranking the 250 most influential Texans since 1776, from presidents and pioneers to musicians, athletes, innovators, and icons. Joining us now is Timothy Malcolm, Deputy Managing Editor of Texas Lifestyle at Chron, to talk about how the list came together, the debates behind who to include, and some of the names that helped shape Texas's past, present, and future. Tim, welcome to Hello Houston.
Hi, Katharine. Hi, Ernie. Such a pleasure to be here. Really great.
I'm assuming right now in your world, everyone's coming up to you and asking you who's on the list or where they ranked or why aren't this or that person on the list. That must be all you're hearing.
Why ain't I on the list? Stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, who would have said something like that when you first came into the studio?
It could have been a bug. I don't know.
It could have been. Before we get into all of that, how was this decided? What was the methodology?
Yeah, so we started this months and months ago, and the idea was, let's do something for 250, for America 250, but make it Texas. And so when we started with that idea and the most influential, we had to brainstorm, obviously, right? We came up with a whole bunch of names. And then once we started putting the names together, then we had to whittle those names down and argue about names. And so it was our staff, about 20 or so people, in meetings and just debating and arguing. And we have people who have been in Texas forever, people who just came to Texas recently, people like myself who've been in Texas for about a decade. And we all just had these opinions, and that got us to a 400 people to around 300 people. And then we asked everybody to rank everybody on a scale of 1 to 10 in a number of different methodologies. So you had, who are you most influential in the state of Texas? How influential are you in the nation and world? Are you quintessentially Texas? So when you think of somebody like a Matthew McConaughey and you're like, oh, the first thing that comes to mind might be Texas, right? So that kind of thing. How popular are you? That is not as important to us, but I think there is some sense of we want to make sure people kind of know who some of these people are. And then the other one we did was, how influential are you within your own line of work, in your own occupation, your own career? Mm-hmm. So are you one of the most, successful politicians ever? Are you one of the most successful baseball players ever? That kind of stuff. We took all those numbers, we added them all up. We had a list from that. Then we started tiering. Then we started figuring out, okay, this person has a lot of points, but they're probably not as high as we really think they are. Let's kind of dig deeper. We talked to some people outside. I mean, it came to the point where we finally had the 250, and then we had those one-on-one debates. Is Daryl K. Royal more important than Bob Schiffer? Those kinds of debates. And
the granular debates.
Yeah, and those were fun, but at some point you have to finish the list, and we had a deadline of July 1st, so it came really down to the wire, and I was tinkering a little bit at the end, but that was it, yeah.
You were tinkering a little bit at the end, which makes me want to know, were you the final say in where they landed then?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I had that a little bit of power, I wasn't I wanted to make sure we were very fair to everything, but I did have the power if I needed to say, this person's a little bit too high.
Heavy as the crown.
Yeah. Okay. So the one other catty part of it all I want to know, was it hard to really come up with a solid 250, or was it an embarrassment of riches where you had too many?
Oh, no, it's embarrassment of riches. I mean,
really? Okay.
Like I said, we started with about 400 names.
Right. But there's a lot of names where you think,
are they padding it out?
Yeah. So everybody brainstormed in our office. So some of the names that came up in that brainstorm included Shaquille O'Neal, who has been in Texas, has a home somewhere in Texas, but is not necessarily a Texan and influential and all that to Texas. So that was discarded pretty quickly. So there are names like that never really were going to make it to the 250. But I would
think it's solid all the way through the 250.
I think so. And there are names outside of the 250. In fact, I'm going to publish a piece today about the snubs, the people that didn't quite make the list. And there's one specifically that I feel terrible that we didn't put on the list. There's a couple others that I think could have been in the top 200 even if we kind of did it again. So I think at the end of the day, 300 or so names for sure could have been on this list, 350. But I think the 250 is pretty solid.
So if you last 50 more years at the paper, you can get that list out.
I hope
when
so.
We celebrate
I would
50
love to
more
get
years in you, yeah.
Okay, I've got news for you. Nobody listens to this show.
Okay.
So it's just us. Who's the
Fantastic.
one that's snub that you're really concerned with?
Oh, I'll say it because I'm publishing the story. Bob Wills.
Oh, and the Texas Playboys.
Why
Texas Playboys,
didn't?
yeah.
Oh God, here I go.
course,
Why
yeah.
didn't he make the 250?
I think that was just a miss on our part to not do that due diligence enough with him. And I admitted as such in the story that's about to publish, he would have been around 100, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah.
He's very influential as far as country music and Texas music and influenced Willie Nelson, Waylon Jennings. The
Yeah.
list goes on. I mean, this guy obviously was a major force in music in the early 20th century. Should have been on the list.
Now, when I look at lists like this, typically I'll look and I'll say, number one doesn't make any sense to me. But then when I saw Lyndon Johnson at the top, LBJ, I said, yep, that makes sense. I mean, Voting Rights Act, civil rights. We have public broadcasting because of LBJ.
Right.
So I'm curious, was he
So then
always at the
technically
top?
I did make the list.
You did?
Yeah.
Through
That's how I'm gonna get in
LBJ.
there.
Yeah. Was he always at the top or were there movements around?
I will tell you, he was one of maybe 3 or 4 people that we seriously thought of as a number one, but generally, like the entire time, he was kind of the guy.
That makes sense.
Sam Houston was up there for sure as someone who we were like, okay, maybe he was number 2, so he was right there. But I think LBJ, when you talk about everything he has influenced over the past several decades, in Texas, not just nationwide. I mean, he was, a Texas politician for several decades before he actually jumped into national politics. And from that, I mean, you think about the Civil Rights Act, and yes, massive influence, still influenced today because of the backlash against that.
Yeah, of
and
course.
what has transpired in Texas because of that.
Medicare and Medicaid.
The
war on poverty. That's all him.
And the other thing to think about with this list is we didn't want to just say, you did this thing, you're in. We wanted to also take into account the character and the kind of person. And he wasn't the best character. There were things about him that were messy, and there are allegations about certain things. He was profane. He was a hard drinker. Isn't that Texan in a lot of ways? We are very messy people ourselves, and America's very messy. And I think part of that, too, we wanted to make sure the history is framed as such that it's not all cut and dry. It's not all perfect. It's not all blue skies.
It's all nuanced.
Everybody's got their bad and their good. It's messy. We have to confront the bad things.
Yeah.
LBJ is part of that, and I think makes for the most fitting number one because of that.
Okay, I'm just guessing within the mind rooms of the Houston Chronicle, it went back and forth. Does Beyonce go 3 and Willie 4, or does Willie go 3, Beyonce 4?
One of the best debates that we had and that happened even since we've seen some of those things on Facebook, it was back and forth. There were definitely multiple conversations of Willie's too low. And then I would answer, he's number 4 right now. What do you mean he's too low? He probably should be 3. And then you would have half the newsroom going, Beyonce would be too low.
The Beehive would riot.
Yeah. Was
there an age shift between those two? Did you notice?
Not necessarily.
Oh, really?
Not necessarily. And I'm 41 years old, so Beyonce was part of, a lot of my life. But Willie Nelson, I mean, I married a woman from Austin, 5th generation Austinite. Willie Nelson is God.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
Yeah,
and so I had that own issue with that duality. I think at the end of the day, Beyonce, what she has done culturally with her performances, with her music videos, with her branding, like how she has sort of increased like what a celebrity is capable of, increased what a pop star is capable of. A lot of that, I think, rises just slightly above Willie Nelson, who is iconic, and has done a lot for marijuana legislation and environmentalism, along with the amazing music career and the songwriting.
I will say one thing that tweaked me just a little bit. Looking at the top 10, I said, well, the Bushes aren't even from Texas. So was there a question of whether or not someone had to be born in Texas to qualify them for the list?
Right from the beginning, we decided we wanted to make sure people who came to Texas at some point in their lives, were part of that conversation. That is part of the Texas story. Sam Houston was born in Virginia, came to Texas, and became Sam Houston, the one that we know, right? And Houston became Houston. So that was never a question. We wanted to make sure that was part of our whole sort of methodology and our whole like determining factor. That you have to be someone who just made an impact, whether it's here in Texas or outside, but you made Texas your home at some point, or you came to Texas or dreams of Texas. Any of those things really kind of mattered.
But George W. makes 6, George H.W. makes 8. How do you justify that?
Was it the Crawford Ranch? Was that the
Is it the
deciding
painting?
factor?
It's the painting.
I think
the painting.
I think it's probably at the end of the day George W. Bush. A lot of the influence that he has projected nationwide is probably more consequential when you think about it as opposed to George H.W. That's just me kind of off the top of my head.
Yeah.
That's a tough one.
I would think the 9/11 plays into it.
9/11 plays into it for sure. Being the governor of Texas, I think plays into that as well.
Oh, yeah. I'll give you that.
The ownership stake in the Texas Rangers even, I think, some of that even plays into it. That's sort of, when you think of Texas and the quintessentially Texas question as well, George H.W. Bush, George W. Bush. I would maybe put George W. Bush slightly ahead of him in that answer as well. Just the kind of like outsized caricature of Texas that he sort of portrayed, that people kind of think about. I think that maybe
Dana Carvey.
But Dana Carvey
and an incredible impression of George H.W. Bush for sure.
Jim, our producer, writes in 1 term versus 2 terms too.
That's also part of it. Yeah. I mean, those little things, right? And they all add up there.
So I had to execute a very similar project to this when I was with Houstonia. And one of the cutoffs for us was we couldn't rank living people alongside historical. We just couldn't figure out a way to do it fairly. So how did that come into play for y'all? Because with these living folks, their influence isn't done yet necessarily. We don't know how their influence will play out.
Yeah, that's a hard one. I mean, I think from the very beginning, we wanted to make sure living and historical were together. It didn't matter. We never really talked deeply about that part of it, but I can see certainly, maybe you've had to have been around for at least 15 years in the sort of the public eye before we kind of like take any stock as far as what your influence is. But also, this is cliche, but history is ongoing. History is always evolving. Things are always happening in real time. And we think of history as the past. We think of it as sometimes 300 years ago. Maybe we think of it as 50 years ago, 75 years ago. History is also now, right? So
of course.
That's part of it.
We are speaking with Timothy Malcolm, Deputy Managing Editor of Texas Lifestyle at Chron. If you would like to join the conversation with us, please call or text at 713-440-8870.
Between the bushes, you have Barbara Jordan. Great choice.
Thank you.
Talk about that.
Yeah, Barbara Jordan, as someone who was really a pioneer, as someone who broke through, as a black woman, as somebody who, spoke truth to power, as someone who challenged. And I think we had to balance a little bit that, yes, there are some figures that were supremely nationwide figures, people who impacted on a global scale like a Bush. But then someone like Barbara Jordan made an impact that was really serious here at home as well.
Yeah.
And we wanted to make sure that we kind of found room for that at the top of the list, while not just saying these global superstars or global names are also like part of this top 10.
It is interesting, though, that you didn't put the 2 Bushes one after the other, but you put her between them. I thought that was an interesting. I think there was a little editorial comment by doing that too.
I'm not going to say. You can say.
We have questions asking, where is Ann Richards on the list?
She's number
11.
Yeah, so she's just outside the top 10.
Just outside of the top 10. And there were a lot of people. We did a reader vote and asked people, who are their most influential. We put that out yesterday after the list. And Ann Richards came up, I think, number 4 or 5 in the reader vote. So certainly people here at home, our readers, felt that Ann Richards had an even larger influence. And I would also, I can't disagree with that. I mean, if you want to put her higher on the list, you could certainly do that. But I think 11 is a really nice place for her.
Did you find in this top 10 embarrassment of riches how to figure them out, that all of these folks had done so much for us?
Oh, for sure. And there were people just outside of the top 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, who we felt also could really get into that top 10. But it's an amazing top 10. I mean, these people nationwide influencers, worldwide influencers, people who made massive impacts here at home. Texas is incredible, right? Like when you come up and look at this list and you read through, you realize that the history of this state is just unbelievable and it's shaped the nation as much as any other place.
Yeah.
One of the things I thought was interesting, speaking of number 12, is that you have Jack Kilby at 12. And he's the first person on the list for me that doesn't have immediate name recognition, I think, for most people. But he invented the microchip.
Right.
And so talk to us about...
Slightly influential.
But you don't know his name, you know?
Yeah, and that's one where we've had a couple people on our staff even say, Jack Kilby, I don't know. And then they read the bio and they go, okay, I get it. I understand why. And that's the fun thing about this list is that you come across names where you're like, I don't know that person. And, like I said before, popularity was part of the methodology, but not the most important thing. We wanted to make sure that people felt like they could read through a list where there were names that they recognized and all that. But then there has to be names where they're like, I got to read more about this guy or that person or that woman. And Jack Kilby is definitely that kind of person. I mean, invented the microchip, Texas Instruments, the amount of influence that has had on Texas, outfit, Texas Instruments. So Jack Kilby, being someone who really shaped, what we do today every single day, every single minute, every single second of our lives, it's mind-blowing. And so, putting him in the top 10 would have been, I think, not crazy, but I think 12 is a really nice place for him.
12 is a great place for him.
Do you recommend reading the list from 250 to 1 or 1 to 250?
We actually debated whether we should present it 250 to 1 or 1 to 250. I think 1 to 250 is better because it's a broader audience. We have all readers throughout Texas, and we want to make sure people don't have to, I got to scroll through this whole thing. And, people might not want to do that. So I think having the big names at the top is nice, and then you can kind of a la carte if you would like to come back and read through. This site will be up forever, This is it. So I personally would like the 250 to 1 experience because I am such a history, buff, and I want to kind of go through very slowly. The excitement builds and all of that, but 1 to 250 is really nice.
Yeah, we scrolled through it yesterday, and I will tell you, we all stood around Jim's computer as we were going through the list, and we were like waiting and waiting, seeing who made it and who didn't make it. It was a lot of fun. I'm curious now to see that subsequent list as it comes out too.
Oh yeah, and we've also talked about should we do something about who are the next 25? Who are the people who are going to be on this list in 25 years? Who are making an impact right now and maybe just haven't quite. One name that we left off the list that, we could have probably put on the list, but I think we'll be on that is not Ernie.
He got so excited. Don't pick him like that.
Tim Dunn. Tim Dunn, the very, very influential oil executive who was donating globs of money to the Republican Party and influencing far-right politics here in Texas like nobody else. Texas Monthly did an incredible profile of him a couple of years ago, calling him the most powerful man in the state. And, when you put that together, you're like, well, that person should belong on the list with the H.L. Hunts of the world and things like that.
Sure.
I think he's a little bit sort of early in that sort of lifespan, so I think we wait another 10 years, and this guy might be a top 100 guy.
Well, y'all go check out the list for yourselves online. You can read it 1 to 250 or 250 to 1, however you want to do it. Timothy Malcolm is the Deputy Managing Editor of Texas Lifestyle at Chron. Timothy, thank you for joining us today on Hello Houston. And coming up, the latest installment of After the Flood. Stay with us as Hello Houston continues.
Meet Damola, songwriter, world-class violinist, and award-winning multi-genre artist. We just took his keys for the day and gave him a Ride Metro fare card. Visit ridemetro.org/Damola to learn more about his ride.
Then was red-carded, leaving the U.S. to finish a man down. Malik Tillman added a second goal for the team off a free kick to seal it. The U.S. wins its first knockout game since 2002 and faces Belgium in Seattle on Monday. Balogun is the first player at a World Cup to score in a knockout game and get a red card since France great Zinedine Zidane in the 2006 final. Belgium was on the brink against Senegal, down 2 goals with 4 minutes left in regulation, but Belgium stormed back to tie it, scoring twice in the span of 3 minutes. Then they received a controversial penalty kick near the end of extra time to beat a hard-luck Senegal team 3-2. And England seemed finished before Harry Kane scored twice late to beat Congo 2-1. DR Congo overcame an Ebola outbreak, quarantines, and visa issues just to get here, but in the process they became one of the tournament's feel-good stories. Today, more drama and maybe upsets await. Spain, among the pre-tournament favorites, face Austria, a team that advanced with a header in the dying seconds of the group stage last Saturday. They kick first today in Los Angeles. Then Portugal and Croatia play this evening in Toronto. Cristiano Ronaldo versus Luka Modric, two huge stars and longtime teammates at Real Madrid. One leaves tonight from likely their last World Cup. And later, Switzerland takes on Algeria in Vancouver. I'm Jimmy Moss.
Support for this soccer update comes from Karbach Brewing, makers of Hopadillo IPA, hosting summer soccer at Karbach, featuring live matches on a 14-foot LED screen along with internationally inspired food and drink offerings.
And now back to Hello Houston. To comment on today's topics, call or text 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. And now Ernie Manous and guest host Katharine Shilcutt.
Last week, we spoke with Houston Public Media reporters Dominic Anthony Walsh and Sarah Grunau about the new 5-part podcast series they have contributed reporting to, After the Flood, which takes a deep and intimate look at the deadly floods that devastated the Texas Hill Country a year ago this Saturday. Just yesterday, the second episode of the series was released, which explores what makes the Hill Country so susceptible to flooding, as well as how this area has dealt with massive floods in the past. Dominic and Sarah are back with us to tell us more about this second episode. Dominic and Sarah, welcome back to Hello Houston.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely.
In just a moment, we're going to play a little bit of this episode too, but I guess the hardest part in approaching this part of the story for you, Dominic?
The hardest part in approaching this part of the story,
the historical, the preparedness, the where the fault almost lies in it, kind of, I feel, is a challenge for a reporter to do it when there's so much emotion wrapped up in it.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. So I would say accountability kind of questions are definitely a through line of the podcast. Sarah's actually in Kerrville right now trying to answer some of those questions.
Sarah, your thoughts on this then?
Yeah, I'll say, one of the most important things you'll probably hear, in my opinion, in episode 2 is about Kerr County's previous deteriorating flooding infrastructure. That's a flood warning system that fell into disrepair and river gauges along the Guadalupe that deteriorated. So there have been some efforts made to sort of address the county's inadequate system. There's new legislation that also mandates working sirens in the area. Our reporting will show that while the area does have new sirens, the criteria for how to actually trigger those is not fully developed. So that is one of the things that we're in the process of trying to answer.
And I guess, yeah, what's wrapped in my question is the idea that for all intensive purposes, it looks like something that should have been avoided, that had things been done, had things worked, had things been in place as they should have been.
Had money been spent appropriately.
Right. We wouldn't be talking about what happened a year ago, that it wouldn't have ever happened. And so I think that's hard to tell a story where in hindsight, and oftentimes this happened, but in hindsight, things could have been so different.
Yeah, I mean, so like Sarah mentioned, there was an effort after some of the flooding in the 70s and the 80s to install a flood warning system. For years, people had relied kind of on a game of telephone where people in one part of the river would see it rising, so they'd call people downriver. And local officials, after 10 campers died in the 1980s, decided to install a real flood emergency kind of warning system. And like Sarah mentioned, it fell into disrepair over the years. So that's one of the things we explore in episode 2. And as Sarah mentioned, there is a new warning system being installed right now, but still some outstanding questions on how that will actually work in practice.
I got questions about that, but let's listen to a clip. Here's a clip from the newest episode to give you an idea of what the region experienced in the past with other massive floods. Have a listen.
The 1978 flood was described at the time as unprecedented, catastrophic, record-breaking. But less than a decade later, it happened again.
On Friday morning, July 17th, 1987, the small town of Comfort, Texas, became the scene of a heroic rescue and tragic loss.
That day probably was one of the most traumatic in my whole life.
We thought that the only people that were alive were the ones that were around us. We were scared to death.
I know I'll never get over this because it's something that's going to be in my mind forever.
Listening to the news coverage of this one really gives me an eerie sense of deja vu to the flood from last summer.
Good evening. It's well known in the Texas Hill Country that flash flooding can be extremely dangerous.
It was mid-July 1987. The flood hit in the early morning hours, causing the Guadalupe River to rise an astonishing 29 feet. And
the victims were summer campers.
The victims that year were from a summer camp, just about an hour's drive from Camp Mystic.
The teenagers were being evacuated from Camp Pot of Gold, a Baptist church camp, during a driving rainstorm.
They were trying to drive over a low-water crossing when one of two vehicles stalled. The vehicle started filling with water, so they held hands and tried to wade out, but the strong current swept some of them away.
43 people were carried into the waters. Most of them were rescued.
But 10 children died in the waters of the Guadalupe River. The river has returned to normal, but the lives it touched remain forever changed.
Sometimes we'll cry about it, and sometimes we wish we were dead, sometimes and that they were still here.
All 4 of my kids were there, and so we lost 2, and we got 2 back, so we know what both ways feels like, getting your kids back plus losing your kids. There's an empty spot in my life, a big one.
After the 1987 flood came a reckoning, much like the one we're seeing today. Tough questions, promises of change, lawsuits. Back then, there was only one way to warn people along the Guadalupe that the water was coming for them. Whenever it rained a lot, folks who lived upstream would watch the water rise and call folks downstream to let them know. That was it, a good old-fashioned phone tree. But after the 1987 flood, local leaders decided that enough was enough. It was time to stop relying on a literal game of telephone and instead install an actual flood warning system, gauges that would measure rainfall and river levels in real time and transmit those readings to emergency managers. Kerr County residents grumbled about the cost, which they had to cover through higher property taxes. But Kerr County area officials insisted. The system came online in 1989. Yet, last summer, when asked how such a catastrophic flood could catch so many people off guard, their answer was,
"We do not have a warning system."
So, what happened?
Absolutely heartbreaking, honestly. And as y'all have mentioned in the podcast, this area is known as Flash Flood Alley. And I think maybe Texans don't necessarily know that, even if they're familiar with the Hill Country. So what have y'all learned about what makes this different from the rest of Texas in terms of why it's so prone?
Yeah, I mean, it has to do with the topography and the geology. The rolling hills are made of limestone for the most part. These steep cliffs and canyons, the hills themselves, they don't actually absorb water. And so when the rain falls, it rushes down into the creeks and the rivers, which can rise very fast. And then, the geology and the elevation itself makes it a spot where there is a lot of rain. Warm air from the Gulf crashes into cold air from, the west. And there are some of the highest rainfall totals in the world over in the Hill Country.
Sarah, I'm just kind of curious, your thoughts on this. Is it right that we're worrying about putting new and fresh warning signs in there, or should we actually be working at moving settlements away from there? Stop trying to fix an area that seems to have been prone to this trouble and move away from it instead of trying to just put warnings in.
Yeah, that's a big thing that we will address in episode 5 as well. I've spoken to one man named Stuart who is sort of spearheading an RV ordinance, basically to remove RVs from the regulatory floodways. Like he, for example, says that that's really the only way to really prevent another major disaster in the future. So yeah, I'll say that.
And I will say thank you both, Sarah, Dominic. It's fascinating work that the first 2 episodes of After the Flood are available to listen to now on all major podcast platforms. The remaining 3 episodes will be released every Wednesday through July 22nd. I hope you'll both come back and chat with us as they come out.
Would love to. Thanks, Ernie.
Thank you. Coming up,
Thanks.
We're going to continue discussing today's top headlines and also current obsessions. Start sharing them with us right now. Stay tuned for the second hour of Hello Houston.
Stay tuned. There's more Hello Houston on the way. For the latest in local news, subscribe to the Hello Houston daily newsletter at houstonpublicmedia.org. Hello Houston is a production of Houston Public Media. The opinions expressed by the guests of this program are solely their own and do not represent the views of management, staff, or underwriters of Houston Public Media. This is News 88.7.
Support comes from Star Spangled Salute. Join us as the Houston Symphony performs patriotic tunes in salute of our nation's independence, July 3rd at Cynthia Woods Mitchell Pavilion. More at woodlandscenter.org/performing-arts.
About a 50% chance of a shower or thunderstorm this afternoon. The high getting up to near 93. Mostly clear tonight, a low 78. Currently it's 89, and this is your NPR station, KUHF. Houston. News 88.7, a service of the University of Houston.
Just ahead on this hour of Hello Houston, the driver accused of crashing a Tesla into a Katy area home, killing a 76-year-old woman, has been charged with manslaughter, according to the Harris County Sheriff's Office. We'll discuss this and more as we continue diving into the top headlines of the day. I'm Ernie Manous.
And I'm guest host Katharine Shilcutt. A new documentary follows Jane Fonda into the heart of Texas oil country, where the debate over energy is not theoretical, it's deeply personal. We'll talk with the director of Gaslit coming up.
Plus, it's Thursday, which could mean only one thing. It's time for all of us to share our latest current obsessions, and we want to hear from you. Start emailing them to us right now at talk@hellohouston.org.
Or call or text them to us at 713-440-8870.
Hello Houston is made possible in part by founding sponsors John Bradshaw and Kathy Sanders, by Metro, and by gifts from listeners like you.
Live from NPR News, I'm Lakshmi Singh. The big jobs report for June is out. NPR's Scott Horsley with details.
We always want to caution against reading too much into a single month's report, but the numbers released by the Labor Department this morning are not pretty. U.S. employers added just 57,000 jobs last month. That's less than half the number they added in each of the two previous months, even though it turned out hiring in April and May was also significantly weaker than initially reported.
That's NPR's Scott Horsley reporting. The unemployment rate, meanwhile, ticked down to 4.2%. The employment report indicates the job market may be slowing, but has still been fairly solid in recent months, and comes as the Federal Reserve, under recent Chair Kevin Walsh, is set to hold a policy meeting later this month. The Justice Department is going after state gun laws that it calls unconstitutional. NPR's Jacqueline Diaz reports on two lawsuits that challenge gun bans in California and in Virginia.
In California, a newly enacted law bans dealers from selling certain Glock and Glock-style pistols. In Virginia, state lawmakers recently banned the purchase and sale of semi-automatic rifles. In these two lawsuits, the Justice Department cites recent decisions from the Supreme Court that struck down restrictions on gun owners, including one decision from just a few days ago. The suits also say both states' laws violate the Second Amendment. The DOJ is asking two federal judges to put a stop to these bans. Jacqueline Diaz, NPR News.
It has been more than a week, and the death toll from Venezuela's twin earthquakes is nearing 2,300. However, rescuers are still finding survivors. This morning in the town of La Guaira, a crew pulled a 43-year-old security guard alive from the rubble. Hernan Alberto Gil Flores had been trapped in a collapsed basement of the Galerías Playa Grande shopping center. A massive Russian drone and missile attack on Ukraine's capital, Kyiv, has killed at least 21 people and injured another 90. NPR's Joanna Kakissis reports Russia says these attacks are in retaliation for Ukrainian strikes on Russian oil infrastructure.
The Ukrainian Air Force said it shot down most of the Russian drones, but that a third of the missiles got through. Writing on social media, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said at least 20 sites around the city were hit. Most were apartment buildings. In a statement, Russia's Ministry of Defense said the overnight strikes on Kyiv were aimed at military and energy sites. Russia is facing fuel shortages after weeks of long-range drone strikes by Ukraine on oil depots and refineries. U.S.-led talks to end Russia's war on Ukraine have stalled as the Trump administration has focused on the Iran war. Joanna Kakissis, NPR News, Kyiv.
This is NPR.
Live from News 88.7 in Houston, I'm Gail DeLauder. The Harris County Sheriff's Office says a man accused of crashing a Tesla into a home in Katy has been charged with manslaughter. 44-year-old Michael Butler was in the car. The crash killed a 76-year-old woman who was inside the home. Investigators want to know if the car's driver assist technology had anything to do with the collision. Meanwhile, the victim's family is suing Butler and Tesla. We'll have more on the case coming up on Hello Houston. The state's lead environmental agency has fined one of the country's biggest liquefied natural gas export companies. But some environmental advocates say the penalty doesn't go far enough. News 88.7's Natalie Weber has more.
The Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, or TCEQ, issued a fine of more than $100,000 to Freeport LNG. The agency alleges Freeport LNG released more air pollution than allowed under its permit and failed to keep proper records. But the TCEQ also agreed to waive some of the fines if Freeport LNG came into compliance. The agency also issued a revised permit late last year that increases the amount of air pollution the company is allowed to produce. For local environmental activist Melanie Oldham, the enforcement actions aren't enough.
The fines are too small to get their attention.
Freeport LNG declined to comment on the penalties. I'm Natalie Weber, News 88.7.
We've reached out to TCEQ for comment and we're waiting to hear back. Galveston officials are cautioning visitors to be safe this 4th of July. Chris Stanley with the Galveston Park Board says if you're not a strong swimmer, it's good to stay close to the lifeguard station.
That's really, really important for your own safety and to help you to make sure that there's somebody around you that can be there to help if you need that help.
Officials are also asking beachgoers to stay away from jetties and piers to avoid any dangerous rip currents. I'm Gail DeLauder, News 88.7.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include Fisher Investments. Fisher is committed to helping clients stay on track to reach their financial goals and enjoy a comfortable retirement. FisherInvestments.com. Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Live from Houston Public Media and News 88.7, it's Hello Houston, an open forum on today's biggest stories affecting Houston and beyond. Call now, 713-440-8870, or let us know your thoughts on today's topics by emailing us at talk@hellohouston.org. And now, Hello Houston with Ernie Manous.
And not just Ernie Manous. Katharine Shilcutt is in the guest host chair today. Hello again, Katharine.
Hello again, Ernie.
We had a busy first hour. I have to say this, After the Flood podcast is really emotional and thoughtful, and I'm really happy that we're sharing that with our audience and that folks can hear the whole thing. Just go wherever you have your podcast, where you get your podcasts from. It's really very interesting. Very, very thoughtful.
Absolutely.
We had a lot of comments come in about our topics from the first hour. We were talking about pay inequities and what's going on down in Galveston. And there was a UTMB. But we had, a caller called and said a lot of the time there's a negotiating factor involved. It's possible the gentleman negotiated a better salary than the young lady, says Mani from Meyerland.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, when you're going in at the very beginning, that's your best chance to get your pay rate as high as you can.
Yeah. What had happened, for those of you just joining us, we were talking about a story where down at UTMB Galveston, that's that the EEOC, who's coming
The EEOC has filed a lawsuit against UTMB Galveston over Equal Pay Act violation. A woman was paid $12,000 less than her counterpart.
And so these are the responses we've gotten to that story. Another caller, Chris from Cyprus, said, I believe certain companies fire people if they discuss their salaries. That is very true, too.
Yes.
It's supposed to be kept private, but what we run into here at our organization is we're part of the state of Texas, and the University of Houston holds our license, and therefore all of our salaries are public knowledge.
Yeah.
But try and find them. We do all the time.
Another challenge,
text.
Ernie.
I know. Another text. Hello, Houston. There is more to the story of pay disparity. There is a reason why employers tell you not to discuss your pay with coworkers.
Yep.
That's from Joseph in the Heights, what we were just talking about. So we're still gathering up thoughts on that. If you have a thought on pay disparity, give us a call, 713-440-8870. The other story I was very excited about, but nobody's writing in about that one, was about the big fireworks display. Donald Trump's going to give us the Guinness Book of World Records largest fireworks display in history, except he's about $1.25 million short of fireworks to hit that point. But good for him.
They could have just Googled.
They could have just, it took you 2 seconds to see what the Google record was. They're going to do, I think we said 850,000 fireworks, but the record is 2 million.
Yes,
right?
a little over 2 million.
Not even close, President Donald.
We can do better.
Trouble there. Also, coming up in this hour, it is Thursday. That means current obsessions. What are you obsessed with? Is it a book, a TV show? Is it some hobby that you've taken up you can't get out of your mind? Let us know. Send this to us right now at talk@hellohouston.org, or you can text them to us at 713-440-8870, or hold on to them and call us a little later in the show, and we'll share our obsessions and we'll share yours with the audience at hand out there. Also, new film, Gaslit. It's about fossil fuel expansion right here in the great state of Texas with Jane Fonda.
With Jane Fonda, with Connie Britton. She's also in it.
Yeah.
And a lot of really interesting personalities who live in the areas that are affected by these petrochemical plants, these liquid natural gas plants. And the director will be here with us via Zoom, and she has a very interesting background as well.
And before we move on, we got a quick call that just came in from Sally in the East End. Sally, what's on your mind?
I'm thinking about the suit.
The pay inequity?
Galveston.
Yeah.
Yes. It's very interesting to me that given the hostility of the Trump administration to DEI, that they are allowing suit for pay discrimination, because clearly there's a woman involved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. I kind of thought about that too. I thought it's interesting we're hearing about this suit, but nothing surprises me today. Sally, thank you for sharing that, and it's something we'll keep an eye on and watch how this plays out and what other suits come, and if this will start a watershed of these kind of stories and suits coming out where people say, hey, if they're going to be actable on these, actionable.
And like you said, it's shocking, but who knows? It might actually be taking place many more places than we realize.
Yeah, which would be very disappointing.
Yes.
You kind of want to live in this bubble where you think things are good and things are improving.
We've made progress. Yeah.
Anyway, with all of that being said, Sally, thank you for calling in. And remember, we always care what you think on any of the topics we discuss during the show. 713-440-8870. But Katharine, take us into the news of the hour.
According to KHOU, the driver accused of crashing a Tesla into a Katy area home, killing a 76-year-old woman, has been charged with manslaughter, according to the Harris County Sheriff's Office. The driver accused of crashing a Tesla into the Katy home, killing a 76-year-old woman, has been charged with manslaughter. Sheriff Ed Gonzalez said that Michael Butler, 44, is charged in connection with the June 19 crash that killed Martha Avila. Investigators said Butler was driving a Tesla Model 3 when it left the roadway and crashed into the home. Avila was inside the home when the vehicle crashed into it. She was pinned inside and later died from her injuries. Butler is being held in the Harris County Jail as he awaits a probable cause hearing. According to investigators, he told authorities the vehicle's self-driving system was engaged at the time of the crash, but Tesla has said vehicle data showed Butler pressed the accelerator pedal to 100% and reached a speed of 73 miles an hour before the crash. What are your thoughts about this? Please call us, text us, let us know, 713-440-8870.
I'm curious to see the evidence that will come out in a trial about what actually happened in the moment. You were talking a little bit about it's hard to get a press statement out of Tesla these days.
Because they've let all of those people go, famously, over a year ago. They let their entire media relations team go. And so now all that we are hearing about this from Tesla's side has been what Elon Musk is tweeting or Xing about it,
posting
on social media. And one of his chief engineers as well has been posting. That's where they got that statistic about the accelerator being pressed down 100% and the 73 miles an hour. That came off of social media.
Also, I'd be curious too about what is going on in the, I don't know if you call it the cabin, in the driver's seat in the car.
Yeah.
If you believe it's engaged, and if your foot is on the pedal, if it's engaged, does that not interact? Does touching the pedal disengage it like cruise control used to be? So I'm not sure what happens there and the whole technology of it, which will be interesting to learn. But still, somebody is responsible for this.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
It's either programmers and the technology that's at use, or it's the driver. But anyway you look at it, this family lost a member in a horrific way.
Just sitting there minding her own business inside her own home, and something like this happens. Yeah.
What do you think of this story? 713-440-8870. I am curious, do you use one of these self-driving cars? Have you engaged it? Do you have a different understanding or a perspective of what happens when you're in these cars? Are you easily aware that it's in self-driving mode, or if it came out of self-driving mode, are you easily notified? I'm curious about the whole logistics inside.
And I'm surprised too, because so many modern cars have braking systems as well, that if they're detecting something in front of the car, they automatically stop. So is that not engaged in this case? I don't know enough about self-driving cars or Teslas.
So let us know. Give us a call, 713-440-8870. Oh, why do I keep getting these stories?
Oh, boy.
Here we go. It's another Donald Trump story. Brace yourselves. President Trump's latest financial disclosure shows cryptocurrency has become the biggest source of his family's income. The filing reports more than, brace yourself, $1 billion in crypto-related earnings last year alone, including hundreds of millions from the Trump family's World Liberty financial venture and sales of Trump-themed meme coins. The report also lists millions more from legal settlements, along with Trump-branded products, including Bibles and sneakers and watches. The White House says there's no conflict of interest here, while ethics watchdogs argue the president's expanding business holdings continue to raise questions about the separation of public office and private financial interests. What are your thoughts on the president's venture into crypto and making money at this rate while in office? Give us a call, 713-440-8870. He claimed to be a billionaire running for office. Some records showed he wasn't actually a billionaire. But thanks to a very successful year as a public servant, he is now easily a billionaire.
I just keep thinking, as always, about Jimmy Carter. And how far we've
peanut
come.
Farmer.
He was so determined to not enrich himself while in office. He did everything he possibly could to avoid that sort of conflict of interest. And here we are, wildly swung onto the other side of that spectrum.
Yeah, I mean, where do we begin? Donald Trump was talking about how he has no idea what goes on with his finances. He has turned it all over. And
that's a horrifying statement to make in and of itself.
Right. But I have problems with all of this. And I also have problems with where his money is coming from. Yeah. It's coming from the concept of money as opposed to an actual product for the most part that people can get. And it very much feels like you invest, and then he knows when to jump out before the bottom falls out of it. And then the people that invest lose their money and he just enriches himself.
I mean,
maybe that's a mischaracterization. If you know better about the finance of how this works, please share in the conversation, 713-440-8870.
The meme coin itself, which I can't believe is a real phrase that I'm saying, meme coin, that generated $600 million. That right there.
It's amazing. As we continue to contemplate that, and I'm sure you have reactions to that, please share those with us at 713-440-8870. Chris from Meyerland wants to contribute his thoughts on the Tesla story, or she wants to share her thoughts. Chris, what's on your mind?
Hey, yes, Ernie, thanks for taking my call. Yes, I am a Tesla driver. I have full self-driving also. But I will say, go ahead. I will say that it's labeled supervised, and what that means is if you engage in full self-driving and you take your hands off the wheel for an extended period of time, maybe a couple of minutes, it will beep to say, hey, put your hands on. And if you do, if you do it 3 times, it will say, okay, no more. We're not going to allow you to do full self-driving on this trip. So my issue with it is, okay, well, if you're going to disengage me after the 3rd time and you know I'm doing this, are you going to stop full self-driving entirely and I've got to, make sure the car doesn't wreck because I'm depending on you? This is one of those things that Tesla has been sued about, I'm pretty sure, and this was their answer to people utilizing or abusing the full self-driving.
Chris, let me ask you a question. If you're in the self-driving mode and your foot hits the gas or the brake, does that disengage it?
Yes, it does. It does. But let me tell you, these cars have a lot of sensors and things.
Yeah.
So there's still a level of guidance that it does. So if you're veering in a lane or something, or if it detects that a car is very close to you, it usually hits the brakes or it slows down or, beeps and all that good stuff. So I'm kind of partial that the driver was probably at fault with this, with knowing what I know.
Well, according to, as Katharine was reading, Tesla said that the vehicle data showed that Butler pressed the accelerator pedal to 100% and reached a speed of 73 miles an hour before the crash. From your understanding of how these cars work and being in one, how would you assume what happened?
The Butler, I'm assuming that that's the car itself. So maybe something happened with the technology. And I mean, that's always an issue with any technology. But,
It's fallible.
Nothing is very much infallible. Let me just say that.
Yeah.
But, buying this car, I'm not going to give it my whole entire approval to just take me places and say, okay. In Houston and with the way the drivers are here and the roads, no, ma'am. No, sir.
Have you ever seen the car malfunction in a way that it accelerates without being indicated to accelerate?
So what I have experienced, there's something called auto steer, and then there's something called full self-driving. I'm on my 2nd one, and there has been things where it likes to pull you to the center of the lane, and it does things on its own. So it's definitely, you have another person that wants to control the car, I'll say that, or you have another thing that's happening. And that's why you really still need to be aware of what's going on. So it can be taken as a good thing or a bad thing, depending on. But to me, again, Houston and the drivers and the roads, you really always have to be somewhat aware.
Chris, thank you so much for sharing your experiences in these cars and your thoughts on this topic. Of course, this is not the court of law. This is not the trial for it. And this is just Chris's own opinion from her experiences in the car. But it helps us a little bit better understand what it must be like being in the cabin of one of these cars.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Chris, thank you so much for calling. Fascinating story, though. Just really does. We're also talking about our president getting richer. Scott is on the line from Lake Jackson. Scott, what are your thoughts on Trump and crypto?
I just think that this is something that it seems to occasionally pop up, and then it just kind of goes by the wayside, but it needs to keep popping up, and something needs to happen. I mean, and it's at every level. I mean, we're supposed to just, believe that Paul Pelosi is an investment savant, and I mean, and now Trump with this, and I mean these stories again and again and again of these people that show up in Congress on both parties, both sides, where they're just this simple person with a simple career. They're $50,000 a year and everything, and 4 years later they're worth tens of millions of dollars. That's a real problem.
Yeah.
My one story to go with this is I will tell you about when I first started working up here, which is considered the 3rd floor in our building when I came to work in the radio unit. 2nd floor is our business offices of Houston Public Media, and we had a programming director, head of the radio station, who said she did not want reporters and those that worked on the 3rd floor to visit the 2nd floor because of even the concept of impropriety of a combination between where the business is done of this organization and the journalistic work is done. It can be done that cleanly and clearly to keep a separation. It horrifies me to see what happens at the higher echelons of our government, with people feeling very free and easy to move back and forth between these realms, to have information that is not readily available to the rest of the world, to use their position to increase their coffers. That's bothersome to me. And Scott, thank you for calling and sharing with us. That was my point of view on that one. There you go. I shared that with you. Now we're going to move on. We got a whole lot more show to do. We're going to find out more about Gaslit, the new Texas documentary on fossil fuel expansion, with the film's director. That is coming up in just a moment, right after we take this break.
We know you value Houston Public Media. That's why you're watching right now. So take the next step and become a new member of the station you rely on. Every gift makes a difference. And what matters most right now is supporting the station that brings you the news and information you rely on. It only takes a minute to make a big difference. So join as a new member today at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call 800-364-8300.
You can hear that tonight at 7 o'clock.
Founding fathers Thomas Jefferson and Alexander Hamilton fought for independence. They also had opposing views of the country.
I think of the competing positions of Hamilton and Jefferson as golden and silver threads woven throughout the tapestry of American history.
How the two men shaped our history. That's next time on Think.
Listen to Think tonight at 11 o'clock.
A year ago, one of the deadliest floods in U.S. history tore through the Texas Hill Country. Since then, we've been following up with survivors.
Everything is gone.
And people who lost loved ones.
I find myself just shaking my head saying, I can't believe I find myself here.
You can hear their stories on the podcast After the Flood, from the Texas Newsroom and PBS's Frontline, out now.
Support for Houston Public Media comes from listeners like you and from Baylor College of Medicine. With over 125 years of innovation behind it, Baylor has driven progress in health and medicine through research, education, and care that push the frontiers of modern science.
Support for Houston Public Media comes from Chariot Energy, offering customers electricity plans that match their energy use schedules and lifestyles. All plans come with 100% renewable energy. Details at chariotenergy.com.
And now back to Hello Houston. To comment on today's topics, call or text 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. And now Ernie Manous and guest host Katharine Shilcutt.
From the oil fields of West Texas to communities along the Gulf Coast, a new documentary called Gaslit examines the people living on the front lines of America's oil and gas production boom. The film follows Jane Fonda as she meets with residents, workers, and activists who say they are paying the price for that growth of the petrochemical industry. Joining us now is Gaslit director Katie Camosy to talk about the documentary, which is being screened this weekend at the River Oaks Theater. Katie, welcome to Hello Houston.
Hello, it's great to be here. Thank you.
Absolutely. So I fell down a rabbit hole last night looking at, watching Gaslit, reading about you. This is, you've been doing documentaries for a long time, but this is your first feature film. So tell us a little bit about what convinced you that there was a feature film here, a documentary here, not just about climate change, but specifically these areas.
Sure. So I'd been making different kinds of video content, short form, about people impacted by the climate crisis, impacted by oil and gas pollution for about a decade. But when I went about 3.5 years ago now, Jane Fonda and I went down to Port Arthur, Texas, right on the coast. And that's where I first saw these LNG terminals. These are these fracked gas terminals where we drill the gas out and we send it to other countries. And it was really shocking. It wasn't like anything I'd seen before. And when I knew it was a feature and more than just like some social media content, was really meeting the people in Texas and in Louisiana who live and work amongst the industry and are trying to protect their homes, their lives, and also their livelihoods.
I've got to go to the very tabloid tabloid point of this whole story and say, you so casually mentioned you and Jane Fonda went down and looked. How did this partnership come to be, and what was her part in all of this besides just being eyes through which we can see the situation?
Sure. So Jane is, a longtime activist and has been working on climate issues for many, many years now. I've really admired what she's done. And we got hooked up. She was doing a project with Greenpeace called Fire Drill Fridays that had a couple different permutations. But during the height of the pandemic, she was bringing on community leaders from different regions. And we met Diane Wilson, who's in the film, who lives in Texas. She's in Calhoun County. And I think this sort of planted the seed. But Jane was really a partner from the beginning. She was there with pre-production. She came out and filmed for weeks in Texas, a different location every day, starting up in the Permian Basin in the drilling fields and hugging the coast all the way down to Brownsville. A true collaborative partner. She was there in the edit suite, and yeah, just a dream to work with, especially since this is my first feature film.
Wow, wonderful. So more than just putting her name on it and showing up to be shot in location, she actually got her hands dirty with this.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. She came in with like binders full of research. She had questions. She brought so much to it. And also in the film, she kind of works as like an audience avatar because we go to a lot of different locations. We meet about 30 people in the region. They're really the focus. But I like to say that, Jane is like the guide that keeps us going to each place and kind of keeps the audience centered on the story and where we're at.
I thought it was such a beautiful decision, an intelligent decision that you made. Instead of focusing on statistics, you focused on people's personal stories. Can you tell us about taking that approach?
Absolutely. So, I think we've all learned in recent years that for whatever reason, facts don't really change people's minds necessarily, or at least they don't alone. But I believe in the power of empathy and of storytelling, and that when you're watching someone and you're hearing them tell their lived experience, that can hit you in a way that maybe data and statistics just doesn't get at that part of your brain. And also from doing this work for so long, I've really learned that the people most immediately impacted by the issues, they're the ones that really know what needs to be done. And so instead of like bringing in experts from the coast, from different places, everyone that Jane meets lives and works in Texas or Louisiana, and they're really at the front lines of this crisis.
You have ranchers, you have shrimpers, you have former oil workers, you have every different kind of person, I feel like, reflected here as much as you possibly could.
Yeah, I mean, and that was part of what drew me to it as well, right? Because these are unlikely allies. I haven't seen a lot of ranchers and shrimpers hanging out with environmentalists, to be honest. They might not agree on everything, but they agree that what's happening right now with the pollution and the expansion is out of control, and it's bad for workers, it's bad for Americans, and it's bad for American businesses as well.
You talk a bit about the pre-production and planning this and where the seeds were laid. What actually opened your eyes when you were out there filming that caught you off guard? When did you be like, oh, wow, I hadn't seen it from this perspective. I hadn't thought about it this way.
Yeah, so many things. I felt every day I was having like a new thought, but one of them was when we're up in the Permian Basin. So that's in West Texas, of course. It's the biggest drilling field in the U.S. We meet a woman named Sharon Wilson who has this very high level, industrial level thermal camera. And with it, she's able to see all the methane emissions that all these projects are emitting that the human eye can't see. You can't smell it. And it really blew my mind. Like I knew it was happening, but to look at it and see this beautiful blue sky that seems clear, and then look through the camera, you suddenly see billowing huge clouds of emissions was shocking. And then also before I started this project, I didn't know that everything we're drilling in the Permian is for export to other countries, including countries in Europe that have actually banned fracking, but they're buying our fracked gas. And I don't know, I've talked to my friends and I've been showing this film around the country, and it seems like a lot of people don't know that that's what's happening right now.
I'm so glad you brought that up because that's one of the things I wanted to ask you about. I was reading your AMA on Reddit, and one of the things that I thought was very poignant was you were talking about how the fossil fuel industry, countries like these in Europe that have banned fracking themselves, they treat Gulf communities as sacrifice zones, is how you put it.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a term that we've heard the industry use, a lot of people use. It's basically treating certain areas, they're always low income, often people of color, but not all. You'll see in the film people from all backgrounds. And they really like have all the industry right there. And there is a hypocrisy with countries like the ones in Europe that have banned fracking. But I learned, in the film we actually go to Germany, so you'll see what happens there. And when I talked to people, they hadn't made the connection. They weren't even really thinking that natural gas was from fracking. And they certainly didn't know that it was causing suffering to Americans.
There's a huge disconnect there. Absolutely.
You talk a little bit about, or we just did a moment ago, about what you saw, what opened your eyes when you were out filming it. When you show this film to folks that are in the energy industry, what do you hope they're going to notice and see that maybe in their day-to-day job they don't even think about?
Yeah, I hope when they look at it that they're thinking about, more than the profits, more than the constant expansion, but really the impact that this is having on so many people's lives. And with that, I include people working in the industry. The people working in these oil and gas jobs, working on the patch, working at refineries. These are some of the most dangerous jobs that we have out there. And we have people in the film who have retired or left the industry that talk about it. We came very, very close to getting a couple people who currently work in the industry, but even without using their faces or their names, they were just too afraid to go on record about it. So I'm not sure that those execs and those leaders know how bad the situation is. So I'd love for them to make that connection. And then also just look at the impacts it's having on communities. I mean, a lot of these projects are right next to where people live, next to schools, next to all playgrounds we would see. So I hope it gives them a different perspective of some of the impacts that they might not be thinking about in their day-to-day.
And that's important to note because this is an energy state, right? That's what we do. That's one of our chief industries and exports. And families depend on the oil and gas industry for their livelihood. So you have to take a really unique approach, I feel like, to addressing that complexity when you're doing this, right?
Absolutely. And, the people in the film, and I know Greenpeace and other people in the movement, they talk a lot about a just transition. And that just transition part is really for the workers. So what we want to see, what the people in the film want to see, is retrainings to work on renewables, right? There's also a lot of solar and wind energy in Texas. Yeah. We also saw a lot of need for cleanup projects of abandoned equipment, old pipelines and old wells that might still be leaking but aren't in use. So, we would love to see kind of the job switch to that, but we don't want to leave any workers behind. And we also want them to get any healthcare they might need for any risks, that they might have from working so close to these industries.
Yeah. Going back to the Permian Basin, I thought, it was interesting to see things through Jane Fonda's eyes, but then also you brought in Connie Britton, who was famously on Friday Night Lights, which was set in the Permian Basin. And it was interesting, too, to see how shocked she was. Can you talk a little bit about how she came into the film and how that decision was made?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So she's a friend of Jane's and Jane Fonda suggested it. And we knew right away this would be really great because Connie Britton loves Texas and she spent so much time there. I'm a big fan of the Friday Night series and movie. And it does take place in the Permian, in the movie and the book, it's the Permian Panthers. And Connie tells us, and you'll see it in the film, that they weren't filming in a studio. They were out on location all the time. And even though she saw industry back then, of course, she was shocked at how much the scale has grown and the amount of it and the concentration of it. It seems, I'm not from Texas, so I couldn't compare it to decades ago. So I thought it was really important to bring people like Connie, in addition to all the Texans in the film, to kind of give that perspective of how much things have changed.
Yeah.
Are there aspects of this that ended up on the cutting room floor that you felt like you just didn't have the time to tell that part of it, but you want people to know? You're nodding away there as I even ask it.
500 hours.
Over 500 hours of footage. Yes, my editor, Laura Franco, and I spent a lot of time editing it, almost 2 years. So I always said we could take each person and each community in the film and do a feature film about them. There's so much more here. And I feel like, in a way, I hope that the film gives people curiosity to go and learn more about it. So yeah, I would have loved to spend more time, I would say, with the workers and kind of the impacts there. We do talk about it. It's right in the beginning. We have Ramon Holgan, who's a former worker, who was working with people in the industry and trying to like see what they need and get at their perspectives. And we could have gone way deeper on all of that. So, maybe there'll be a sequel. Who knows? We got a lot of footage.
What will tell you that this film is a success? Is it change in the industry? Is it simply eyes on it? Is it education? What area will, for you personally, say this was a successful project?
I mean, in the short term, I think it's getting people to see it. We've taken it, right now we've done festival tours and we're in the middle of our theatrical tour. I'm flying to Houston right now. I'm at the airport. I'll be there tomorrow. Yeah, we'll be at the River Oaks all week. And talking with people, they might not live in Texas and Louisiana, but they really connect to the people in it and the issues. Perhaps it's data centers, perhaps it's a different kind of industry coming in, but I think most of us can relate to this. So, I'm really impressed by that. I also hope that it continues to reach people across the spectrum. This isn't a left or right issue. This is a human issue. And then on top of it, yes, I'd love to get it, educational, distribution, get it out there, get it in front of younger people. And if there could be changes to the industry, that's obviously the goal we're all going toward. I think it's going to take more than one film, but I hope that it's, a small piece of a step in the right direction.
I've got to go back to the celebrity element of this again, because that's just where I go. Having worked with a lot of celebrities over my career, there are some that really know how to, and know the responsibility of disarming the people they're coming in connection with so that they can have an interaction with them, as opposed to the fawning, oh my God, it's a celebrity in front of me. What did you learn from Jane Fonda about her ability to remove herself from the image of Jane Fonda and be able to connect with the individuals that she met along the way?
Oh, you got it right. She's so good at this, and I learned a lot. First of all, I was just impressed that she so clearly understood her role as a celebrity in this. In the beginning of the film, she says that her celebrity affords her a spotlight, and she's choosing to shine it on what's happening in Texas right now and on these people. And I just thought that was so great to come out and say it. And then when she meets these people, she's such a fan of them that I think, it kind of throws them a bit for a second, because they're like, I'm meeting Jane Fonda. And she's like, oh my gosh, I'm meeting you. I've been reading about what you've been doing for so long. And she just is down to earth. She doesn't come in like a movie star. She did, she's staying with us at the motel. She's not getting any special treatment. She's just out with us on the road. And I think also her empathy, because what we learned is a lot of these people in Texas, they're really wanting people just to hear them out, to hear their story. And I think that if you feel like no one's listening to you and suddenly Jane Fonda's listening to you, I imagine that feels pretty good.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'm curious, after spending so much time reporting on these communities, talking to these people, what gives you hope?
The hope really comes from the people in it. When we were wrapped filming, it was still in the previous administration. And then when, the Trump administration came in with Drill Baby Drill, I knew that these people would be facing new issues and new hurdles, but they're not intimidated. They're not backing down. In fact, some of them have been fighting in different ways these issues for decades. Greenpeace had been there in the late 80s and early 90s along the coast. And, we found some of the same people in footage that had never gotten digitized. And I'm really impressed that they're still being so smart with their strategy. They've had wins, but they're not giving up. They want a better world for themselves, for their families, and their communities.
What's your, it kind of piggybacks on what you just said there, but I'm curious the hope you have for the future of this. What have you seen that gives you hope that there can be a change? And maybe even what Jane Fonda may have imparted to you in this whole battle.
Yeah, Jane definitely gave me a larger perspective of these fights. She said at one point this analogy that I really love, that when she started out as an activist, she felt that her activism and making change was a sprint. And then later she realized it was a marathon. And then later yet she realized that it's a relay race. And so one generation hands it off to the next. And I think we have seen a lot of progress, even though in other ways we're absolutely not where we want to be. So I see hope there. There's also people in the film. There's wins as well as some of these setbacks that you're going to learn about. For example, Diane Wilson, who I mentioned, who's in Calhoun County, she won this incredible lawsuit against a plastics company, and it was just a citizen lawsuit, and now they're not allowed to pollute plastic into the ground and into the water anymore. And that's something that I'm seeing other communities learn from and try to replicate. There's also over in Louisiana, the Banner sisters live in a part that's known as Cancer Alley, but in their actual community, they've kept the industry out, and they've done that by organizing. And so I think that if you can get your community on the same page to care about these issues and hold together, communities do have so much power, even against billion-dollar industries.
Yeah. Can you continue to grow this industry and continue to capture these resources without the environmental harm that comes from it?
From what I learned in the people in the film, that doesn't seem to be a realistic thing. Sharon Wilson talks about carbon capture, that even when she goes to facilities that have it, that's this new technology. Mm-hmm. There's a very catchy name, but she's still seeing the emissions there. So I think we're going to need to look outside the box and think a bit bigger. And also, as you'll see people like John Allaire, who used to work for the industry, you know, he says this line in the film that's great. There's not a CEO in the world that says this is an infinite resource. So in one way or the other, you know, we're going to run out of it. But how painful do we want that to be? And how much, and who takes the burden of that if it is painful? Is it the workers? Is it the company? Is it the people that live nearby? So I think, you know, we can look at it more holistically, and one way is definitely to put more of our efforts, time, energy, and resources into renewables.
Absolutely.
Katie, nice work there. And I'm very happy that you chose this topic to spend your time telling the story of, because what people may not realize, when somebody like you sits down to do a film, it's going to be a big chunk of your life, and you've got to think it's got value to you. And thank you for doing it.
Yeah. We love a film as empathy machine, as you put it, Katie. I love that. I'm stealing it from you. Katie Camosy is the director of Gaslit, which is being screened at the River Oaks Theater this weekend. Katie, thank you so much for joining us today on Hello Houston. Coming up, our current obsessions. So get sharing. Text us, call us, let us know, 713-440-8870, or email us, talk@hellohouston.org. Stay with us as Hello Houston continues.
It's not just your car. It's the one that brought your kids home from school, took you cross-country, held memories, laughter, even a few breakdowns. When it's time to let go, give your car a new purpose. Donate it and turn memories into meaningful support for this station. Plus, you'll enjoy free and easy pickup, potential tax benefits, and a simple donation process. Your gift supports the programs you and your family love. Donate today and help keep public media strong. Call or donate online.
You can hear that today at 3 o'clock.
Hey, it's Francis Lamb, host of The Splendid Table. This Independence Day weekend, it's a flavor-packed grill out with Vietnamese cuisine expert Andrea Nguyen and an all-American sausage fest with Faraday Sadigan, author of The Hot Dog Cookbook. It's coming up on The Splendid Table.
The Splendid Table is on this Sunday at noon.
Can't get enough PBS programming? PBS Passport is an added member benefit that offers exclusive streaming access to many of your favorite programs on the PBS app. Whether you're an NPR listener, a PBS watcher, or both, your ongoing donations of at least $5 per month qualify for PBS Passport. Make your gift now to start watching at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate.
Support comes from the Houston Museum of Natural Science in Herman Park, featuring exhibits on dinosaurs, butterflies, stars, and ancient cultures, along with the Burke Baker Planetarium and Cockerel Butterfly Center. More at hmns.org.
Support comes from Miller Outdoor Theater, presenting performances every weekend through November. Programming includes concerts, cultural celebrations, and events for families. More info at milleroutdoortheater.com/thisweek@Miller.
And now back to Hello Houston. To comment on today's topics, call or text 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. And now Ernie Manous and guest host Katharine Shilcutt.
Oh, it's Thursday, so you know what time it is. It's time to dive into our current obsessions. It's a rundown of things you are currently having take over all your free time. It could be a TV show you run home to continue, a streaming show, I should say. It's a song you keep playing on repeat. It's that book or audiobook, how about, that makes you drive an extra mile in your car just to listen to a little bit more of it. You get the idea. So, okay, before we jump into Katharine's obsessions and my obsessions for the week, and your obsessions for the week, one of the top trending items now on X is, of course, the U.S. winning over Bosnia-Herzegovina last night with a score of 2-0. This is the team's first, as we mentioned earlier, World Cup knockout round within 24 years that they came away the victors.
Just incredible.
Before we get into all of our current obsessions, start sharing yours if you haven't already. It's easy to do it. Email them to us right now at talk@hellohouston.org or call. I really like it when you call in and share your obsessions because we can talk about them. 713-440-8870 or text them to us at the same number, 713-440-8870. Okay, Katharine, start me off with an obsession.
I have so many current obsessions. I don't even know where to begin. Okay, the thing that's a top of mind for me is a book I read in 20 hours. I couldn't put it down. It's Yesteryear. Have you heard about this?
No.
It's by Caro Claire Chambers. Am I getting her name correct? Oh, sorry, Caro Claire Burke. Okay. And it's a fiction novel about trad wives. Are you familiar with trad wives?
Yes, those traditional wives.
Yeah. So I consume a lot of trad wife content, ironically, because I'm fascinated by the cosplaying of like a very traditional wife, but also you're doing it for social media with your little camera and your ring light, you know?
Yeah, very traditional. Wait, am I in my light? Yeah.
And this is a book that really takes that and just, it goes nuclear with the whole concept of what is actually happening behind the scenes in the world of the most popular trad. It's called Yesteryear.
That sounds fascinating.
It is so good. You will not guess the ending. It is full of twists and turns. It is just a fun, great summer beach read. It's not philosophical. It's just fun.
You know how horrible my brain goes? Like, I hope it's been optioned for a film.
Oh, they are absolutely optioning this for a film. I've already heard that Anne Hathaway's attached to it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Well, my thought on also what you said is, wow, a book you read in 20 hours. I'm trying to think the last book that I didn't have to read for work, because oftentimes you have to read a book and you have to just run right through it and get it done. What was his name? Harvey Fierstein's autobiography. I had to do that right away because I had him for an interview. Last, though, out of pleasure book, and it's old, long ago I read it, Amityville Horror. When that book came out, I don't know if it was when it came out, when I became aware of it, I read it all through the night that first, and I read that whole book through, and it's oh my, yeah.
You know what else I just finished very quickly too is The Executioners, which is the book that the book that Cape Fear is based on.
Oh, cool!
Very quick, fun read from the 1950s.
Fun, interesting choice of words.
It's pulp.
Yeah,
like when it came out, it was pulpy, it was campy. It's meant to be, a thrill ride.
Alex Garza's obsession is FIFA World Cup. And also, she says, tomorrow the Apple TV show Silo Season 3 starts and she cannot wait. Oh, you're into that too?
I'm very excited about that too, yes.
Before we get to mine, let's grab a couple calls. 713-440-8870. Robert from Kingwood is on the line. Robert, what are you obsessed with? Robert, you there?
Yes,
What are you obsessed with, Robert?
5 vine swallowtails. For the last couple of years, I've had this Dutchman pipeline plant, and it's getting bigger and bigger, and I would have these broods of 30, 40 caterpillars, and they would just disappear overnight. But for some reason this year, they're really coming up and attaching to my house. So every morning this week, I see a caterpillar come out, a butterfly come out of the chrysalis, the wings spread out, fill out, dry out, and then the color. And to watch the color, it's like waves of color over several 30, 40 minutes. They get darker and brighter and orange and blue. And then after about an hour or two, they just fly off, and then the cycle begins all over again.
Robert, that is a fabulous obsession to have. It takes me right back to elementary school, and we had them in the classroom in a big terrarium or whatever you call it, a tank, and we would watch that happen. That's fabulous, though, that you get to watch it in the wild.
What a lovely description, too.
Robert, thank you for sharing that with us. 713-440-8870. Blake from Alvin is on the line. Blake, what's your obsession?
Man, it's a rock band out of French Canada called Angine de Portrine.
Yes. Oh, God. Yes, I'm so with you. I got very excited about that.
Hold on, Blake. Catherine is very excited. What do you have to say, Catherine?
It's modern Dada, right? Like, I'm going to let the caller talk about this.
Talk to him.
Tell me
there's
why
no
you
vocals,
like it so much.
But it's very atonal. They have a few vocals here and there, but it's definitely a tempo catcher, and it'll make you think, like, do I like this? But then you kind of internally think, I love this. And so
I like the idea of it, too, that they have posed as it's anti-AI, right? Like, this is something that in an artificial intelligence world would never come up with because it is so wonderfully bizarre and absurd.
Looping on steroids, a classic paper mache mask, and you got a perfect duo.
Great videos, too.
Blake, thank you very much for sharing your current obsession. If you're listening right now and you want to share yours with us, 713-440-8870. We have another one. Julio Gomez says, hi, Ernie and Catherine. My current obsession is a movie called Spirit the Horse. Horses are my favorite animals because of the sounds.
Kind of tempted to make a horse sound, but I don't think it'll come out
Yeah, let's leave that alone. Mr. Uncle Walt says, I'm reading The Man in the Gray Flannel Suit, and I can't put it down. There you go.
Interesting. I don't know that one.
Noah Espinosa says, America. He's obsessed with America. And you should be. It's a good weekend to be obsessed with it. Braden Arnold says, my current obsession is my 2 new kittens. Congratulations there on your new kittens. Okay, here comes my current obsession.
Okay, I'm waiting. I can't wait.
Do you know what a slime tutorial is?
What?
Slime tutorials.
No.
They are actually Broadway bootlegs. So if you sneak into a Broadway show with a camera and you video record the show and then you post it, they put up a funny name for it and call it a slime tutorial. So it could be like if you saw Wicked, it might be Green Girl Surrounded by Pink Slime Tutorial. And you'll find the entire Broadway production or traveling show or whoever did it of that play. So it's like seeing a Broadway show from your living room.
How do these not get taken down in violation of some sort of,
And that's the other thing. So they happen
ephemeral.
fast, and you got to run for them. And the other night, late at night, 4 a.m, something like that, well, maybe more like 2 a.m, I saw an amazing slime tutorial on YouTube of Chess, the new production of Chess the Musical, a show I'm obsessed with from
One Night in Bangkok.
Yes, from the 80s, but the brand new production was on with Leah Michele and Aaron Trevader in it, and it was beautifully shot. And I started watching it, and I said, oh, I got to go to bed. I'll catch more of it tomorrow. And by yesterday, it was gone. And I was like, damn, I missed it. But anyway, so I'm obsessed with those. They're also called bootlegs, or there's some pro cam shots of them. But they're all over the place, and you can find them, but grab them fast. And, of course, they may be illegal, but they're on YouTube. You're not posting them. So if you should happen to fall upon them, I don't see that that's a crime.
Just by accident.
Right. And you see them. And boy, oh boy, I searched to find that one again. I couldn't. If you're into those kind of Broadway cam, and I know my Broadway friends, my actor friends are very opposed to these. Theaters should happen in the moment that they happen and see it. But I got to tell you, some of these things happen. And I've looked for 2 years now. I have looked for Tammy Faye, the musical that had a very short run on Broadway. And I've never been able to find it. I know it's out there somewhere. There.
One day, not just in Bangkok, but one day in my bedroom late at night on my TV. I may find that yet.
Sean Radigan is calling me Bootleg Ernie.
I mean, if the nickname fits.
I'm not shooting them.
You're just consuming the bootleg product.
Remember Napster?
Oh, gosh, yes.
So Marilyn Horne, famous opera singer, and I were talking one time about Napster. And she said, as much as people get after it because of the bootleggedness of what was out there, and she said, but there were performances of hers that people in the audience had recorded that no recordings had existed of. And she was fascinated to hear them again. And she said the only reason she was able to hear it was she was able to find them on Napster.
Okay, what a delightful perspective.
Yeah. And so she was like, nobody was losing money. And she did also go off on how the record companies reissue a lot of those opera things, and she gets no money for it. So might as well just put it out there. She was pretty cool with it. Cider is my current obsession, says Earl Grey Tea Cat. I've gotten obsessed with trying out as many as I can. And by cider, are you talking apple cider Or are you talking the high octane kind
I'm
of
thinking a
ciders?
hard cider.
I think so too.
That seems to be way more popular these days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not much of a drinker. so
I'm not
it
either.
doesn't hit me.
I'm the worst in
Yeah.
these kinds of conversations.
We had the coffee guy on yesterday. Coffee Mike was on. I'm kind of getting into coffees, trying different flavors, doing things like that. Anyway, we're always interested in your current obsessions. Send them to us, share them with us, call us when we do current obsessions, and we will share them with our audience. So, that wraps Current Obsessions for this week. As I said, always feel free to send them to us. Just send them at talk@hellohouston.org with the subject line Current Obsessions, and we will compile them and share them with you next week. Okay, made it to the end of the show for today.
Another wonderful day with you, Ernie.
And thank you, Katharine, for sitting in for the last 2 days with me.
course.
It has been a pure joy.
Oh, well, right back at you.
And it's been a pure joy having you listen, watch, share with us as we continue to work through this crazy world around us every single day, trying to figure it out, trying to understand it a little bit better, trying to just get through life together. Thank you for joining us. I'm Ernie Manous. This is Houston Public Media News 88.7, and you have been listening to or watching Hello Houston. See you next time.
Thanks for listening to Hello Houston. Join us every Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. to talk all things Houston. The Hello Houston production team includes Garrett Bowman, William Menhivog, Jen Altide, Todd Holslander, and Jim Kovacic. For the latest in local news, subscribe to the Hello Houston daily newsletter at houstonpublicmedia.org. Hello Houston is a production of Houston Public Media. The opinions expressed by the guests of this program are solely their own and do not represent the views of management, staff, or underwriters of Houston Public Media. This is News 88.7.
Support for Houston Public Media comes from listeners like you and from Baylor College of Medicine. With over 125 years of innovation behind it, Baylor has driven progress